Last time, we saw our group's encounter with Moro. Things didn't go so great, but thanks to Raditz, Gohan, and Piccolo, they were able to rebound. Now with some characters entering the realm of gods, where do we go from here? We'll cover all that and more in this finale of What If Goku Had a Twin. Piccolo restores Namek with the Dragon Balls, and he uses another wish from Shenron to revive everyone killed. This affects Goku, but not Ruta. And of course everyone else who died in Moro's conquest. Ruta's really the only one who isn't brought back immediately, but it's fine. All they need is a wish from Namek's Dragon Balls, and she's brought back. Piccolo wanted to wait until this was all over before he made any wish, and now they're finally in the clear. In retrospect, Goku kinda laughs about it. Now each sibling has died at least once. Although Ruta is winning in death count, she's at 2. Probably not the best metric to be ahead in, but with how close the siblings are in every other regard, there's going to be some weird exceptions. The 3 siblings return to Beerus' planet. There's nothing with Granola after the fact, and it's pretty much business as usual with the heaters. Without Frieza, there's nothing really to push those events in motion. Sorta like what happened with Broly. So, we just kind of have a time skip here, and eventually we get to the point when Superhero is supposed to happen. Well, sort of, there are a few changes here. So of course, Cell hasn't awakened in this scenario yet. They can't make a Cell Max if there is no Cell to work off of, because how else would they get the idea? So, something different happens. Magenta and the Red Ribbon Army find out about Jiro's research, and they're able to locate his lab, or at least what's left of it. There isn't much, but thankfully some part of it did survive. It looked like most of the lab was destroyed, but no, there's an underground bunker here. One that was hidden away pretty well, and it leads them to another product that's still in development, something that's almost complete. It's Cell. Hedo is freed from prison, and with help from him, the Red Ribbon Army starts working on Cell. So there's no Cell Max here, it's just going to be Cell. Hedo comes to see that Cell's not going to be born perfect. It looks like he has to absorb other androids, but that's an easy fix on Hedo's end. He could just make the parts himself and make it so that Cell's perfect to begin with. He's not sure why Jiro did it this way, but whatever. It's a simple fix for someone like him. Plus, he got some pretty great data too. Following the fight with Moro, Hedo was able to find one little piece of 7-3 lying around. By surveying the area where this battle took place, his drones found this thing, so they picked up and looked at what it had. And it gives Cell a lot of data, mainly on Moro and anything he saw during this fight. Jiro's drone stopped collecting data at a certain point, but they added this in too. So there's a big gap in Cell's data, but he at least has data from a recent battle against Moro. Unfortunately for him, 7-3 didn't really copy many other abilities, but Ultra Instinct Omen is on there, so that could be interesting to see. Most notably, Moro's magic, although there's not really a lot to work with, and it's going to be hard to get Cell to utilize it. But still, it is there. Hedo wants to make more of his own androids, and he was told in the first place that he could do that, but he never gets the chance to make the Gammas. He's told he has to wait until Cell is complete, which is fine for him. He likes working on Cell, and unlike Cell Max, it's not like he needs to be programmed to actually have control of himself, because Cell is actually pretty smart as is. The thing that worries Hedo is that Cell is obviously independent, and he's not going to be a good guy either. And really, there's not a lot of work for him to do in the first place. He basically just adds 7-3's data and makes Cell perfect. He doesn't have time to modify Cell's thoughts or motivations or anything. Basically, the second it looks like he's ready, Magenta unleashes him, so Cell awakens fully perfect. The first thing he does is kill Magenta, and then everyone else in the Red Ribbon Army. Well, besides Hedo. He knows Hedo was the one to make him perfect, and the one thing Hedo was able to do was program Cell to not kill him. Cell simply finds it kind of funny. He must have been scared of him, but Cell wasn't going to kill him regardless. Without him, he wouldn't be perfect. Hedo watches on in terror as Cell simply leaves. And this entertains Cell. It's exactly what he wants to see. The look of terror on people's faces. It was a good idea to keep Hedo around. So, what's Cell going to do now? His objective is to kill Goku and also pretty much anyone around him, but Cell being Cell, he's of course looking for a good fight too. His primary targets are Goku and Ruta of course, but anyone adjacent to them should be strong enough to fight too. Especially with all the powers he has, he really wants to make use of them. In terms of strength, it's not like Cell is crazy cracked here because while he has a good amount of data and he has a lot from the Moro fight, there's still a lot he's missing, and at this point in the story, that fight has long since passed. And he's not too sure what to expect because, based on the data he has, he's stronger than those people during that fight, but he doesn't know how much they've grown, or who's even here at this point. Only one way to find out. So, the first thing he does is go to a random city, and he begins terrorizing it. This will surely draw people out. And pretty much right away, 2 people come to fight against him, introducing themselves as 2 of the Great Saiyamen. The Great Saiyamen? Actually, you know what? He does have data on that. Knowing Hedo, he'd probably put that data in there because he loves superheroes. But he only knows about the original Great Saiyaman. He doesn't know about these 2. They seem newer. Also, they rushed here kind of quick and they don't have their costumes on, so he gets a good look at them. It's just Goten and Kasta. They're superheroes? Well, they should be fun to fight. And it's Ruta's daughter and Goku's son, so perfect targets for him. The 2 begin fighting Cell, having no clue what they're up against. But this fight is pretty short-lived. Cell does kind of take it easy at first just to test out his powers, and he comes to realize that these 2 aren't really worth his time. He charges a Kamehameha, ready to finish this off. And as he launches the attack, the 2 are about to counter, but someone else enters the battlefield, simply swatting away the beam. It's Gohan. Then, Cell feels a tap on his shoulder. turning around and getting punched in the face. It's Piccolo. These two, of course, are on Earth, and once they sensed something going on, they came here immediately, especially because Piccolo was seeing everything from the lookout and saw the city was under attack. Plus, both of them sensed Goten and Kasta, alongside Cell, of course. The second phase of the fight begins. Gohan and Piccolo fight against Cell, and they come to learn that he's a weird amalgamation of pretty much everybody. That's why his ki felt so strange. They could feel the ki signatures of a lot of people they know. And on top of that, he is copying a lot of their moves. But he's not really a match for them. At one point in the battle, Gohan is able to finish it, seemingly destroying all of Cell. But he does regenerate from this. It even surprises him, and he grows a lot stronger in the process. But they of course didn't realize he could just regenerate from pretty much nothing. Cell's core ended up surviving this, so that's how he was able to come back. He's surprised that Gohan ended it that quickly. He wanted to have a little more fun, especially because he didn't get to use all of his powers yet. First, he tries activating Ultra Instinct Omen, and he can't really pull it off. First of all, it's Omen, so it has its own issues to begin with. Second of all, he got this from Moro, who couldn't really pull it off too well. And on top of that, he's not really working off full data here. So he can kind of use it, but he's not really pulling off some crazy Ultra Instinct feats. But at the same time, he tries to use Moro's powers. Same for Raditz too. Raditz's powers are something 7-3 never copied, but he has enough data on it where he could try and replicate a Hakai, so he has some access to this. The toughest part is definitely Moro's magic though. Again, not something he used perfectly, but if you give this more of a test run, he'll be able to just absorb all of their power and make the fight simpler. He doesn't really want to do this, he'd rather prove his perfection by actually fighting them and not stealing their power. But hey, if it has to come to that, he doesn't really mind. He's not above stealing people's powers after all. Now the fight's getting a lot tougher, but still, they seem to overpower Cell. The issue is he is taking their power, which is kind of evening the playing field, so Gohan realized they have to go all out and just finish him off with one attack. They've dealt with this before after all, and Piccolo has an idea. The energy absorption seems bad, but Moro had his own limit. That's why he had to merge with Earth after all. So if Cell tries to absorb too much power, he will become unstable, especially because he can't use it as well as Moro does. So they should try and hit him with all they've got. Best case, they just destroy him as is. In worst case, Cell will try to absorb all that power, but he won't be able to handle all of it. So Gohan goes into Beast, with Goten and Kasta using Super Saiyan 3. And together, three of them charge all the power they can, as Piccolo goes orange to hold Cell off. But he can't contend with Cell alone. Not that it matters though. The three all charge a Kamehameha, launching it together as a family. Call it a family Kamehameha, or a Saiyaman Kamehameha. They're not too sure what to call it. Cell quickly swats Piccolo away, and then tries to counter with his own blast, but it's being overpowered by theirs. So instead, he welcomes the attack. He tries to absorb all of their strength at once, and the second they see him absorbing it, they channel even more power into it. And Cell starts growing in size. His body is growing unstable, especially while trying to use Ultra Instinct at the same time, which he barely had control of in the first place. He's trying to use too much at once that he doesn't even really know that much about, and he can't stop it either. He just keeps absorbing power. And soon enough, he does hit a limit, causing him to explode. But they're not going to let him regenerate a second time. When he tries to come back, Piccolo sees his core, and he's able to snipe it out of the sky with his own beam, ensuring Cell is gone for good. And just like that, Cell is defeated. So while that's happening on Earth, where's everyone else? Goku, Ruta, and Raditz are all on Beerus' planet, and they've been training, of course, all trying to grow in their own ways. Goku and Ruta have a completed version of Ultra Instinct by now. And by this point, the three siblings are pretty much equal in power again. With Ultra Ego, Raditz of course grows during battle, but Goku and Ruta have great speed, giving them the advantage in that statistic. But there's something Raditz wants to see. He could fight his siblings, but he'd rather see them fight each other. He hasn't seen a Goku versus Ruta fight. He knows they of course had a long-standing rivalry, especially with the tournaments, so he wants to see how a battle goes between them right now, especially with the two of them being equal, and both having Ultra Instinct. And yeah, they never really thought of that. Like, they've sparred before, and of course they've trained together a bunch, but it's been a while since they had a regular 1v1 using all of their power. So, what better time to do it than now? Another Goku versus Ruta matchup begins. From what Goku remembers, Ruta's ahead by 1. So, simply by winning this battle, Goku can even the score. Ruta can't believe he's keeping track still, but honestly, she was too. And the two have their all-out Ultra Instinct battle. Of course, Beerus and Whis like watching this too, especially Whis. This is what his students are capable of. He's very proud. And Beerus is surprised that two mortals pulled off Ultra Instinct that quickly. All these other gods are millions of years old, and no one seems to have a grasp on it, but these two do. The fight ends up being really close, to the point where they're not too sure who wins. But Ruta drops out of Ultra Instinct first, pretty much by a few seconds, and then goes unconscious not too long after. Goku then loses consciousness, but he was the last one standing, so he technically was the winner. He was at least conscious long enough to celebrate that victory. It is kind of tough to win against someone with the same training, powers, and strength after all. But yeah, they loved the battle, and it looks like the score is now even between them. Now they need to test out their power against Raditz. By this point, he's decided that he will be the next god of destruction. Beerus offered it to him, and yeah, he thinks it might fit him. Goku and Ruta aren't up for it, but Beerus did want one of the three Saiyans. Plus, Raditz does have the abilities for it. Ultra Ego is a pretty huge plus. While they recover from their last battle, Raditz is going to make a brief detour. As a god of destruction candidate now, he has special privileges. He's seen so many crazy techniques recently, like Ultra Instinct, he saw Moro's magic, even the things Piccolo's capable of too. He's been trying to expand his horizons recently, and one of the things he's been doing is going to Otherworld, trying to learn different techniques there. King Kai was of course the first visit, especially with Goku and Ruta learning their own things from him. He could try and pull off a Spirit Bomb, maybe his heart is suited for it by now, and as for Kaioken, he doesn't really have much use for it at the moment. But he learned some other things in Otherworld, and out of curiosity, he decides to explore Hell at one point. He knows a lot of people that are sent here don't get to keep their bodies, but it does make him wonder what types of warriors are here, because maybe he can learn something. It's kind of weird going to Hell to train, but it's not like he's going to find a teacher here. He just wonders what things are out there for techniques. And when he's here, weirdly enough, he senses a familiar power. One that he hasn't felt in a while, but he immediately picks up on. There's no way it's what he thinks it is. He flies through Otherworld and comes across someone who he hasn't seen in a long while. It's Vegeta. Raditz is really surprised. Vegeta kept his body? Maybe there was actually a chance for him to change, because usually he'd just be cleansed and reincarnated, but no. He's actually here still. Of course, Vegeta's surprised to see him here too. What, did he finally die and get sent here? Well, judging by the lack of halo on his head, it doesn't seem like it. So, how is he down here? Well, Raditz is wondering the same thing, because not everyone gets to keep their bodies. Vegeta's honestly not too sure himself, but he's grown comfortable down here, especially because he's the strongest. While being dead, he's able to train as much as he likes, so that's all he's been doing the past however many years. And naturally, there's only one thing to do when seeing Raditz. He challenges him to a battle, telling Raditz he's gone way beyond Super Saiyan, and he'll be sure Raditz stays here. Instantly, Vegeta powers up, showing off a form that's pretty familiar to Raditz, in fact. Super Saiyan 3. Oh yeah, his niece and nephews have that form. Vegeta thinks he's joking, but no, Raditz actually has seen this before. Actually, they ended up renaming some forms because Vegeta ended up calling this Super Saiyan 3 for simplicity, and their old Super Saiyan 3 was actually Super Saiyan 4, until they discovered the real Super Saiyan 3. This just confuses Vegeta. It's too convoluted. Anyways, thanks to Vegeta being dead, Super Saiyan 3 doesn't have the same drawbacks. Cassette and Goten know about the drawbacks because they don't have tails. So, Raditz humors him, going into Super Saiyan 3 to fight him, and Vegeta's actually pretty strong. He has spent his entire life here training after all, but is this his limit? Well yeah, it's the strongest Super Saiyan form he's thought of. And Raditz reminds him about Great Ape. He hasn't tried to do anything with that? Well, actually yes. Vegeta did try and go Golden Great Ape once, but he never went beyond that. Looks like they had a lot of the same ideas. Raditz shows off Super Saiyan 4. You can see why it would be tougher for Vegeta to get that form down here, but it's impressive he even thought that far. And Vegeta can't believe what he's seeing. To make things worse, that's not even Raditz's peak. He has forms beyond this, but he'll have to show Vegeta some other day. He just came down here for a brief detour, but it's good to know that someone he knows is down here. Vegeta finds that interesting. What, Raditz wants to see him again? Well, yeah. As the next god of destruction, he has special privileges, and that's why he was down here in the first place. Next god of destruction? Like Beerus? Yeah, Raditz has a lot to tell him about. Vegeta thinks he's joking, but maybe he's not. That doesn't really make sense to him, but sure, he'd like to hear more about it. He then laughs it off. Maybe he made the wrong choice fighting them, and Raditz had the right idea of betraying the Saiyans. He's clearly flourishing, and it's kind of impressive to Raditz. The time in Hell has made Vegeta mellow out, but his time on Earth was definitely better. To think, a fellow Saiyan is going to be taking Beerus' position. How absurd. And yeah, betraying Vegeta was a great choice. Goku and Ruta led him down a much better path in life. And he'll bring them here too to see Vegeta, because he thinks those two are probably going to surpass him again. He needs to do whatever he can to stay ahead, not just as a god of destruction, but as a big brother as well. He says farewell to Vegeta, returning back to Beerus' planet. Goku and Ruta are healed up, and they're ready for their next battle. The only issue is, they have to decide who's going to fight against Raditz first. Nothing a simple game of rock, paper, scissors can't solve. And Raditz watches as they play a couple dozen games, and they keep tying with each other. Wow, those two are really like-minded. They keep throwing the same moves. What are the odds of that? Goku then cheats by using Ultra Instinct to rock, paper, scissors, which just pisses Ruta off in the process. But it was a pretty smart idea. Getting his body to move on its own with rock, paper, scissors, Raditz finds that kind of funny. It's a good thing he ended up here with them. He only wishes he went to Earth sooner, or maybe even went along with them. But who knows how that would have gone. With that, we end off the series here. What'd you guys think about this finale and the story as a whole? Let me know your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel and shows me you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting the scenario all the way through, and I'll see you all in my next video.